What's up, y'all? How are y'all doing? Turn on a light so that way y'all can actually see me. So as I was going through and cleaning out my SD card, I deleted what I had recorded for today's vlog. So far today, we have gone to the gym. We have worked on cleaning out the car. I have done some dishes, made lunch, just typical basic stuff. And now I'm sitting down to work. And I think what I'm going to do is clean up my Google Calendar because I have quite a bit of things on my to-do list today because I've gotten a bit behind, but a lot of it's recording and I don't want to do that until tonight, and create my ideal schedule. I like having that done in my calendar because then it tells me I don't have to think. And the less mental energy I have to use to decide on what I need to do and what's gonna get done that day, the better. Yeah, I'm just gonna walk through planning out my ideal schedule and then talking to y'all about how I do that. So let's talk about creating your ideal schedule. I know a lot of moms, myself included, are really resistant to, because it's like, you don't know what the day is gonna bring. You don't know how crazy things are gonna get. If, you know, especially as a single mom, like everything is riding on you and you can't stick to a rigid plan. If you have a special needs child, things can vary day to day. And that is something that I know really well. When it comes to creating your ideal schedule, this isn't to pressure you. It is to give you a sense of where you want to go. If you are wanting to go on a road trip, but you don't know what your destination is, you're never going to get there. And if you are on a road trip with a bunch of kids and you don't decide ahead of time where you're going, you're never gonna be satisfied with where you are. Everyone's gonna have a different opinion. Everyone's gonna have in their mind what should happen on this road trip, that it's going to be complete chaos. And I don't know about y'all, but I've been in plenty of those situations and I'm kind of sick of them. And if you have been on a road trip with a plan, the fact of the matter is that things don't always go to plan. In fact, things rarely go to plan. For example, when I was moving here to Missouri from Washington State, nothing went to plan, literally from selling the house to actually arriving here. But we had a plan and we knew the basic destinations of where we were going. We didn't always arrive on time. We didn't always arrive in the best of mood, and we didn't always leave when we wanted to leave. And we had plenty of cars break down and we had a lot of issues. The plan gave us direction as to where we wanted to go. Creating a plan before you go on a road trip is knowing very well that it's not always gonna go to plan. And it's being okay with that, but it's knowing that when you're not sure what's happening, you can go back to the plan and at least have a direction. And if things diverge from that, you can figure out how to get back to it when life happens. This ideal daily schedule, this ideal daily routine is exactly that. It's going to give you some structure and the ability to have something to fall back on. Now that my soapbox moment is done, the very first thing that you have to do is brain dump all of the things you want to get done in a day. This is your to-do list, essentially, that you want to get done every day. Break it all down, brain dump it, spit it all out on paper so you can see it all. Once you've brain dumped everything out in a day, think through the week. What do you need to get done every single week? Do your kids have soccer practice on Tuesdays and Thursdays? Write that down and write down the time next to it that has to happen. You're not trying to create a step-by-step day list yet. This is just getting everything out on paper. It may help for you to think about the morning and work all the way down. Start from Monday at 6 a.m. and end on Sunday at midnight. If that works for you, go through every day and just write it all down on paper. Once you have your list of what needs to happen every week, I want you to look through and pick out the things that are already on the schedule that you don't have a choice to change, like your kids' soccer practice. That needs to be highlighted because that has to go on the calendar. You don't have a choice as to when that is. You don't get to choose when games are. You don't get to choose when practices. Write that down. That goes first. That needs to get highlighted on your list. Same thing with doctor's appointments, dentist appointments, work meetings, things that you can't really change, that you don't have a full say in. Write that down. That needs to get highlighted first. And then in a different color, I want you to think through the things that you want to get done every week, but that aren't time bound, that don't have to be done at a specific time every day or every week. For example, you want to get laundry done twice a week. You want to make sure that that's a priority for you. That's awesome, but it doesn't have to be, you know, Monday and Wednesday at 1:52 p.m. from 2:32 p.m., right? Like, it's flexible and it can happen whenever you can fit it in your schedule. That needs to be highlighted in a different color. Finally, there are the things that you really would like to have that. These are the fun things. These are the things that you genuinely enjoy. They might be time bound, but they're not necessarily a massive priority for you to do. For example, if you want to be able to sit down and binge Netflix for an hour after the kids go to sleep, write that down and highlight that in a different color. Or if you want to go to brunch with your girlfriends on Saturday mornings, but you don't know if you can make it every week, write that down and highlight that in a different color. Once you have this highlighted, curated list, you're going to see what your absolute musts are as far as putting them in the schedule at a specific time. And then there are the things that you want to get done but aren't time bound. And then there are things that you would actually like to do, but it really depends on your life. Everything on the list that is not highlighted is not a massive priority. That does not mean they don't go on the calendar, but what it does mean is that these are your flexible things. These are the things that you put them in where they fit, when they fit, and it's accepting that not all of them may fit where you want them to. Once you've curated that list and you've seen it all and you've digested it all and you've accepted the reality that there may be things that don't get put on the calendar, I want you to go to whatever calendar system that you use. I prefer paper calendars and Google Calendar. So I will break down everything on paper first so I can see it, I can write it down, I can erase, I can do my thing. Once I create the rough draft of the calendar, I put that in my Google Calendar so that way it notifies me on my phone and I don't have to do any thinking. If you want to go direct to Google Calendar, that's totally fine too. If you have a different calendar function like Outlook, or I think Apple has its own calendar, whatever you use, whatever is a calendar that will connect to your phone or to your smartwatch, whatever it is that reminds you what to do, because you'll be surprised at how much mental energy you will save by not wondering what's coming up. When your phone tells you a half an hour or an hour ahead of time what's about to happen, you're like, oh, this is already done. Like, this is a thing. It's already been decided. I need to shift it back a half hour. I have to accept it's not gonna get done today, or I'm gonna hustle on and do it right now so that way I can make sure that next thing gets done. And letting Google do the thinking for you and the deciding for you before you take the next step literally will save you brain space. I'm not even being dramatic about it. It will literally save you brain space. Once you've decided on your calendar system, I want you to begin plugging things into your calendar. Start with the very first most important things that we've highlighted at the very beginning. The things that have to go, that you don't change. You don't change kids' soccer practice. You can't change whether it's every day or twice a month or whatever it is. If you're doing a paper calendar, you can do all this rough draft in the paper calendar, but if you are doing it directly into Google Calendar, make sure you set up anything that's repeating so you don't have to put the events in there manually. In Google Calendar, you have the ability to set something to repeat. So kids' soccer practice is every Tuesday and Thursday. You can set it to repeat every Tuesday and Thursday. And then what I want you to do is I want you to tentatively put in the third item I talked about. The things that you would like to have time to do, but you're not always able to make it. Like brunch with the girls, or being able to stay up late and watch Netflix for an hour, or go to a theme park once a week. We're really close to Silver Dollar City and we have a season pass. And so I like to take Axel once a week. Sometimes we do and sometimes we don't, and sometimes we're just not feeling it. So it's something that's in the calendar as a reminder, but we don't always do it. After you have done those things, there's your list of items that you highlighted of things that you would like to get done every day, week, whatever, but aren't tied to a specific time yet. Now you're going to take those items and put them in your calendar where they fit. You're going to load in the fact that you want to do laundry on Tuesdays and Fridays, or Tuesdays and Thursdays right after soccer practice. You're going to put that in there where the moment you get home, you're going to spend 20 minutes getting everything in the washing machine, making sure everything is good to go. And then you're going to schedule an hour later to spend time folding, putting away, packing the bags, whatever it is. Maybe you pack your kids' lunches every morning before school and you want to have that on the calendar. Put that on your calendar and set that at 6:30 a.m. or whatever it is that you do that, or the night before at a certain time. Even if it feels redundant, begin to load it in your calendar. I should have mentioned this earlier. Think through when you want to have meal times. So as you're loading up your day, I definitely did this, you will probably end up forgetting about the fact that you're gonna need to eat breakfast, lunch, dinner, spend time with the kids, things like that. So when you're loading up your calendar with the things that aren't specifically time bound, consider when you want your meal times to be. For us, we wake up really early and we go to bed pretty early. So we have breakfast between 6 and 6:30 a.m. We have lunch between 10:30 and 11 a.m. And then we have dinner between 5:30 and 6-ish p.m., sometimes earlier if we're hungry. It's relatively early for the typical amount of people, so they're not time bound. But I have put them in my calendar at a specific time because then I know not to book meetings or not to book laundry time or not to schedule time to go hang out with my girlfriends during one of those meal slots, because I want to make sure that we have time to sit down and eat dinner and keep that an important thing. Finally, don't overstuff your calendar. At the very beginning, I literally planned out every minute of my day, and honestly, I loved it. The problem is that I packed every minute of my day. I didn't think about the fact that I have chronic illness and there are some days where I physically don't have the energy to do certain things. And while this is definitely a plan that's flexible and will change day to day, I will also want to be realistic with what I'm putting in my calendar. And so very few things do I have that are completely back to back. I will leave like 25-30 minutes in between just to give some wiggle room. Again, if you want to book out every minute, that is totally fine. But keep in mind, this is not to beat you up and not to like be perfectly on minute by minute. This is to give you and your kids a sense of predictability so that way you know what to expect each and every day. And I know that every day can be different. Like I mentioned, like we're single parents. If a kid gets sick, we are completely thrown off because then we can't work, we can't clean, we have to tend to the kid. Kids can be sick for 2 hours and kids can be sick for 2 weeks. And so that can completely throw us off. The benefit of having a plan when that happens is that if the kid is sick for 2 weeks, you may not be able to do everything on the plan. Like you can't go to the park when he's sick and you can't go to the library when he's sick, but you can sit down together and read a book. You can sit down on the couch together and watch a movie while you eat lunch. You can do some of those things, and having a plan and being able to expect what could potentially happen is going to make things easier on you both. So I would love to know in the comments, what do you do to keep your family on track? Do you have a schedule? Is this a system you might consider following? If so, let me know. If you have any other questions, I am more than happy to answer them. I am incredibly proud of you, and it's time for you to be proud of you too. Happy planning.